Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Detective D and the Mystery of the Phantom Flame, 2010. My last video I stated erroneously that I had seen this sequel, actually was the prequel. I realized when I saw the date in the opening prelogue that it was this one takes place in 689 AD. I believe the prequel takes place in 655 AD, which is young Detective D something something sea monster or whatever, the sea monster one. So they pulled a Star Wars trick on me. They made the prequel after the original Detective D movie. So by this time the Empress has managed to poison all of her family and her enemies. She's managed to kill all of her enemies, including her husband, I guess. Who was kind of a puppet anyway. She's played by Carrina who's also in the prequel movie. The Detective D character is played by Andy Lau. I saw him in a couple other movies, Internal Affairs, and I can't remember the name of the other movie, but anyway, it was interesting to see him in a goatee. I haven't seen that before. Like a Colonel Sanders type goatee. Anyways, I didn't like this movie as much as the prequel, Young Detective D, Sea Monster movie. There was too much build-up, I thought, first 45 minutes. And I saw another review where they said the cultural stuff, Chinese cultural stuff, the build-up in the first 45 minutes was quite tedious and boring to a non-Chinese person. I felt that way too. I don't know. I thought it was unnecessary, all that soap opera stuff in the beginning. But that's just me. I don't know. I just didn't like it as much. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. So the Empress is ready to be coronated. She builds this this gigantic what is it, 66 yards, this Buddha idol thing in front of her palace or whatever. But then these guys are mysteriously going up in flames all of a sudden. It's due to some Western fire beetle mixed with phosphorus. Yeah. So Detective D's in jail again. He's been charged with treason for being against the Empress. But the chaplain, who talks in the form of a deer, he recommends assigning Detective D to the case of the Burning Men. So Detective D teams up with another blonde-haired Chinese dude, same as the second movie, just different actor, and they go in search of the instigator of all this. So there's a cool plot twist at the end. We find out who the instigator is. it appears that the Empress is into lesbian food, and there's a cool shapeshifter babe. Is like a shapeshifter transsexual because she turns into a man when she shapeshifts. They got these weird looking pin things in their neck, and once they take them out, they shapeshift into somebody else. It's the same thing happens with the Dr. Wang dude who knows about the fire beetles, but he's reluctant to tell Detective D for some reason. I don't know. I guess he thinks that Detective D has too formidable of an opponent for him to make a difference. And it's weird. The contradictions within Detective D reminded me of Ron Paul and my mom. Ron Paul was in Congress for a long time as a Republican thing. He could reform things from within, but that wasn't the case, so he ended up retiring. A similar thing happened with Detective D. He retires at the end of the movie. I don't want to spoil too much, but right towards the end he tells the antagonist guy, the bad guy, that if he had to choose between the Empress and the bad guy, he'd choose the Empress because the Empress is the lesser of two evils, which is kind of like the same argument that you hear in U.S. politics today, especially when I talk to my mom about the presidential race. She loves talking about it every single time I go up there, even though she knows that I hate politics in general. But it's like she loves to open up the taboo subject by saying that Donald Trump will bring us to war, or Donald Trump is a fascist, or whatever. Whatever name calling she wants to use against Donald Trump. And of course I'm not interested in her support for Hillary because of those reasons, that she hates Donald Trump. But she still goes on, like every single time it's a new excuse or a new worse than Hillary evil that she tries to test me like I'm some kind of guinea pig. Maybe she can test it on her friends or something. So it reminded me of that. The cinematography is great. Again, it's a lot like the second movie, although I was kind of bummed that the bad guy wasn't a sea monster or something equivalent. It's just these little fire beetles that crawl on you, and then you pour phosphorus, and as soon as you hit sunlight, you start burning up in flames, that sort of thing. I just think it wasn't that great a movie, and didn't have the black humor about the drinking pee and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool in the prequel. Pretty silly, actually, almost campy. But this one, they could have developed the underworld, the black market, some more. If they had done that, it would have been a better movie. If they had what do I want to say? Oh, if they had explored the lesbian foo relationship between the Empress and the transsexual shapeshifter, that would have been more interesting. um, if the transsexual shapeshifter had actually uh, shown her female body in, I don't know if she's like, if she has a dingling while she's female, if that's the deal. But if she had actually shown her naked body instead of just her head and her shoulders, that would have been more interesting. But of course, this was a PG-13 flick, and it's coming from China, so you can't really expect much in that department. They just sort of hinted at it, kept you guessing. The Chinese censors, it's kind of like, I don't know, Double Indemnity when they're smoking on the couch and you kind of guess that they had sex, but you don't know what happened. That sort of thing. So, I don't know. Could have been better. Not that Double Indemnity was a bad movie because of that, but I'm just trying to think of ways that could have made a 2-hour movie more interesting. You know, because it does take a long time for these Detective D movies to be solved. Jeez, I mean, the prequel, at least they had lots more action, I guess, and that helped to make it a better movie. But this one was kind of slow. I'd say skip the first 45 minutes and then watch the rest of the movie. It's much more interesting with the political shenanigans and the action scenes in the underworld, which was far more interesting than the normal Chinese Empire type world. I didn't even get the first part when they first enter the Buddha. There's some kind of diplomat who's speaking Spanish or Italian or something. I felt like that whole part was unnecessary, but I don't know. I didn't feel like it added anything to the plot. It was kind of like a side story, I guess. But the Empress's headdress was kind of interesting. I don't know. Her whole royal garb was kind of cool looking, and she kind of hides her identity when she's looking for Detective D. He's in trouble, whatever. I couldn't really understand that whole mace thing, what that was about. It got passed on to Detective D from the Emperor, I guess her husband. She says that he died from some kind of kidney or liver disease. She poisoned him for sure, because he was just a figurehead anyway. She wanted to consolidate her power, so she starts killing everybody after 655 AD. Kind of like a Roman emperor. I guess it also reminded me of I, Claudius. You know how Claudius wanted to restore the Republic, but then when he accidentally became emperor when Caligula was murdered, he just wanted to be even more corrupt than Caligula. But in the case of Detective D, he was just kind of like a part-time government official kind of thing. They only hire him when there's a crisis, and he always solves the case too and saves the empire. So that's what it kind of reminded me of. somebody who wants to reform the system from within. Um, I'm not sure what good exposing the Empress's crimes will do. I guess give her another 15 years to rule, so that people won't try to assassinate her. So I guess Detective D and the Empress are kind of like the yin and the yang of Chinese politics. That sort of thing. And I was surprised that they allowed a Buddhist idol in communist China 2010. Anyways, I guess there's some Buddhist temples around China, but they're all closed. So they're kind of like haunted houses, I guess, for the curious-minded people in China. So there was that element of Buddhism, and there's you even hear Buddhist chants within that thing. But it was kind of ironic that they tried to use it to kill the Empress. I don't want to spoil too much of the ending. Like I said, I've already hinted at a couple of parts of the ending, so I guess I'll just leave it there, let you go, since if you've gotten this far to my video, you probably 1% out of 99% of the people, out of 100% of the people who watch this video, you probably 1% if you got made it this far. But anyways, not a great flick, kind of so-so movie. I like the prequel better. Laters.